perseverance really does matter. As I was trying to explain, in the mid-90s, AOL was suddenly a big deal, almost like it seemed like an overnight sensation. Came out of nowhere, was kind of one of the hottest companies in the country. But we were a 10-year in the making overnight sensation, because we really had started more than a decade before people even knew what we were doing. And there were a lot of periods in that, doing that development that we had tough times. We went through layoffs and lost some, partnerships like Apple and so forth. So it wasn't like we just woke up one day, hung up a shingle, and the world beat a path to our door. There were lots of ups and downs, and there were a number of people who were there in the early days who basically bagged it. They said, this is too risky, I don't believe in this thing anymore. But thankfully, there were enough that stuck with it, that really believed in the idea and were passionate about the idea, and eventually things developed. So I think one of the lessons is, going back to perseverance, if you really believe in the idea, figure out a way to stay in the game. Now that may mean cutting your costs by having to go through some difficult things just to make sure you can survive and live to fight another day. But don't give up if you really believe in the idea, because eventually, if you're right on the core assumptions, that eventually the market will open up and you'll have that opportunity. Way too often people kind of give up too early. That just they hit a bump in the road and or maybe a kind of a brick wall. They're great entrepreneurs. The great entrepreneurs just figure out a way to get around the wall, get over the wall, or just knock the wall down. They don't let anything get in their way.
And what about failures?
Well, I think
let's let someone else finish up. One more question after you.
The biggest failure, obviously, what I talked about was the AOL Time Warner merger, which is what I think was still a great idea that was terribly executed, and it was a great disappointment. I have others too, but that's the big doozy.